Hi guys, welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for joining us. So today I have Pasi Amayo, who's going to give us her views on a very interesting subject that we're going to talk about today. And this is relationships in this era where we have an outbreak of COVID-19, quarantine, self-isolation, and basically social distancing. Amayo, you're welcome.
Hi, Daniel.
How are you? You're good?
Thank you. Thank you. Disclaimer, I'm not a relationship expert, but yes,
Hmm.
I will be giving my views according
Okay.
to the knowledge that I have.
Cool, cool. Okay, so as we all know, the world is facing an unprecedented experience. And how do you think relationships have changed during this time, especially?
Hmm. Okay. So notice I have a smile on my face. It's
Yeah.
intentional.
Why is it intentional?
It's a very unfortunate time that we have to deal with this pandemic. I mean, it's brought about a lot of sorrow.
Mhm.
A lot of people have died. About more than 100,000 people have died. So, I mean, I have to recognize that, and just may their souls rest in peace. And also, now that we have over 2 million cases all around the world, I mean, it's an unfortunate and it's a sad thing. And I'm really looking forward to the time the pandemic will end. But having said that, COVID-19 has brought about very many differences in the way we live today. And not only the way we live, even the way we interact with each other, and even the relationships that we have. I mean, just to answer your question, how has COVID-19 changed the way we relate to people? Well, first of all, right now, a lot of people have have a lot of time, especially to spend with the people they live in the same household with. So, be it your spouse, your children, or even yourself. You also have to have a relationship with yourself. So now there's a lot of time you
Yeah.
have to yourself and with the people you live with. It's also changed the way people are interacting, because right now people are speaking to each other and communicating literally virtually, because people are told stay at home, don't move around a lot. So that limited social interaction has also changed the way people are feeling. I mean, let me even speak for myself. There are days when I feel like I'm in prison in my own home, and it brings about a lot of fear and anxiety, and that mainly impacts the way we interact with the people around us and the people we live with. Maybe just to speak further to this and maybe touch on stories that I have heard and people that I have talked to on this subject, which and a very interesting aspect actually, with the anxiety of being alone or being locked out, or being kept away. Single people have actually felt vulnerable enough to reach out to their exes or to relations that had fallen apart. So you have daughters who aren't speaking to their mothers, calling their fathers, their siblings, and even their exes. You know, people are really reaching out and trying to mend relationships that were broken. And I feel this is out of anxiety and also the fear of uncertainty, fear of unknown. Are we going to make it? If I get this virus, am I going to die? So people are looking to mend. And people who told me about them reaching out to their exes were basically talking about how they felt very safe with that specific ex. And now they recognize the value of spending time with them. And this is regardless of whether they were the ones who hurt their ex or not, or whether they were the ones who made the relationship fall apart or not. So that's a very interesting twist of things. People are
Okay.
fearing, and with that, they want to mend and ensure there's no bad blood. Even if we don't get back together, I just want you to know that, I'm sorry this happened, and, let's just live in peace. So that's a very interesting aspect of how this COVID has impacted relationships. People are looking back and reflecting a lot now. Yeah.
I also think it's a time where people can just sit back and reflect and also reconnect either with family. I know there are siblings who probably don't talk to each other as much, and I think this is a time where you can use Skype calls, you can use Zoom as we are, just to reach out to either family, friends, your spouse. So just to go to the next question for you, in a scenario where
Yeah.
two people who are in a relationship are in different, they probably might be in the same city, but not necessarily in the same location. It might feel like a long distance relationship because with the lockdown, they're not able to meet physically. And I read somewhere there's something known as skin hunger, and skin hunger is a desire for physical contact, and this is not necessarily intimate contact when it comes to like a sexual experience. This is
Mm-hmm.
non
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
intimate desire for physical contact. So how
Mm-hmm.
do people go about this, especially in a case where people are married or they're in a relationship, but they cannot be able to physically meet? How do you think they
Okay.
can go about maintaining their relationship and ensuring they still flourish even at the end of this lockdown period?
Okay. I mean, let me talk about the physical. Would you call it physical?
It's not. It's known as skin hunger.
Skin hunger.
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, definitely, it goes beyond the intimacy. I mean, think about a mother and a child,
Yeah.
and the way doctors always encourage mothers to have that physical bond with their children,
Mhm.
skin to skin. You know, there's just something interesting and intriguing about the physical presence of people, and being able to communicate with someone there, being able to see their facial expressions, their body language. It means a lot, and it has a very big impact on any relationship. So having said that, I also want to say, I mean, people who were already in long distance relationship are probably out there saying, hey, we've been living this for a very long time. Welcome to the
Yeah.
club, But that said, I think it's now time for us to learn from people who actually have long distance relationships. I mean, what I can advise is, if you have your phone, if you have internet, if you have airtime, constantly check on each other. I think this is the time when you want to listen to each other more. You want to schedule calls, You can also do things online together. I mean, I know about people who literally have breakfast together on the phone or have lunch together, and that's their time, as they eat on the different screens. They're able to catch up. How was your day? What did you do? How do you feel? Are you working from home? How was work? What did you accomplish? I mean, this is the time to listen and speak to each other, because that's the only thing that you can do for now. And I think also just being able to appreciate each other during these times. I mean, when you're physically together, you kind of take for granted the
Yeah.
fact that you have this person. So I think this is also the time to communicate, I appreciate you for this, I enjoyed the way you do this, or that, just bringing back that gratitude also just builds up that bond, so that they know you appreciate, you care for them, you also value their physical presence. And when they're not there, that value, you feel it and you need it. So I think that brings the bond together. I mean, I haven't seen my mom for 2 months now because of the lockdown, obviously. And I speak to her on the phone constantly, and just catching up and laughing and talking. And she'll ask, how are you guys doing? Are you okay? We still bond and get to laugh on the phone. And what I have found also very comforting about this long distance relationships that we now have to live in with is the fact that being able to communicate positively and communicate positivity,
Yeah.
hope, doing away with the whole negativity. Oh, if I get this COVID, what's going to happen? Oh my God, I'm not home. How are you surviving? Do you miss me? It's kind of time to say, oh, when this thing is over, we're going to go do this and that. So I keep telling the people I'm talking to, when COVID is over, I can't wait for us to have dinner again. I can't
Yes.
wait for us to go to the salon together again. I can't wait for us to
Yeah.
go um, for Kizomba again, you know.
Yeah.
It's looking forward to bright and happy things. And I think if we're able to cultivate that, even as we communicate virtually, then we're actually building rather than destroying. Yeah.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So in a scenario where we have couples, these people
Mm-hmm.
now have time. I mean, there's spending too much time together, and then there's 24 hours. And I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
think in this 24 hours, basically
Mm-hmm.
there are no lines because you're trying to work and you're trying to be in a relationship with your spouse. You also have the
Yeah.
kids, and with all the anxiety, do you think? I think this puts a strain on the relationship. And do you think there's something like spending too much time together? Is it a good thing, or what do you feel about that? Because I feel it's too
Okay.
much time. What do you think?
I mean, I know some people are going to kill me for saying this, but it's actually very unhealthy
Mhm.
to spend 24 hours, 7 days a week
Yeah,
together. It's unhealthy. Even in a relationship,
yeah, it
there
is.
is a lot of value in me time. That's why it's called me time. You always have to find that me time to breathe. It's not that you don't enjoy spending time with your spouse or your partner or your lover. No, you do, honestly. But you need that time for you. You need that time to meditate alone. You know, when you're meditating, you need to be alone, you know. You need time to journal, to write how you feel, how you know, your plans, your goals. You need time
Pasi,
to care for yourself.
sorry to cut you short.
Can you hear me?
Sorry to cut you short.
Yeah.
Now that people are confined to the four walls at home, how can you ensure you also have some space at some point away from your kids or from your partner? Do you lock yourself in the room and say, I'm just going to have 30 minutes to myself, and other people continue with whatever they're doing? Or how can people get their me time away from the other family members and they're confined to the same house?
I mean, that was going to be the next thing I was going to talk about. I mean, after
Okay.
just, you know, highlighting the value of me time,
Yeah.
how do you get me time from your
Mhm.
kids,
Yeah.
from your spouse, you know? I
Mhm.
think what is working right now, what's working for me, because I feel like sharing my experience has a greater impact than just talking about other people. I plan my day literally with everyone, and I communicate that, you know, because for example, I have to work from home, I have to cook. I mean, we were talking about this just a few minutes before we started this call. I have to cook, I have to check up on people, I have to have conversations with the people I'm staying with. I plan my day and I communicate in the morning. You know, I have to do some work, so I have a different place where I work, so they know this is my workstation. I'll be working from this time to this time. From this time to this time, we're gonna cook together, we're gonna eat together, we're gonna bond. During that time, when I'm bonding, other people are doing their online courses or they're also catching up with other people. I mean, especially for kids. My sister has a very nice routine for her kids. And I think this is advantageous for her because she lives in Northern America. They actually have digital class sessions. Not really class sessions, but the kids are learning digitally. So when the kids are spending their 2 hours um, on their laptops, computers, and tablets watching their games or doing their classwork, she's catching up with office work. And during that period of time, when she's cooking, they switch with her husband and he takes care of the kids. You have to plan together. The moment you plan together, then you know, this is my me time, this is time for the kids, this is time to do my work, this is time to cook. You have to plan. If you do it randomly, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get pissed off, you're going to fight, you're going to get frustrated with your children and they're going to notice it. It's going to be bad. So planning the day together works, and knowing when's best to do what. I mean, my sister has nap time for her kids. So there's time the kids are napping and just away from her. And that's the time when she gets to do her exercise, meditate, shower, the
Yeah.
things that you need to do when
Yeah.
nobody else is all over your face. So plan together, it works.
Okay, makes a
And
lot of
having
sense.
said
Makes a lot
that,
of sense. Mm-hmm.
maybe I
Yes.
just need to highlight
Mm-hmm.
that right now there has been an increase in domestic violence.
Yeah.
It's been reported. I mean, for us here in Kenya, our CS Kagwe said it yesterday when he was giving the update that, domestic violence is on the rise. According to UN Women statistics, um, domestic violence has doubled since the coronavirus started globally. In the UK, I've seen cases reported by the Guardian newspaper that now they have increased cases of domestic killings. So people are actually fighting to the extent that people are dying domestically. It's basically because they're not used to spending time together. They're disagreeing a lot on a lot of things. And, with the anxiety and the fear and the stress that comes with this period, people are fighting to the extent that they're killing each other. I mean, I pray it doesn't get to that for us here because I haven't
Yeah.
had any cases of this here in Kenya, but it's happening out there. So we need to communicate and plan together and apply a lot of knowledge in this time, even as we have to be stuck with each other, as I hear some people saying. I'm
Yeah.
stuck with this man, I'm stuck with this woman, you know.
Yeah.
One other interesting thing is sponsors and slay queens. I'm sorry to say this, but this is true and it's happening right now. Like I have nothing against sponsors and their slay queens, but there's a lot of challenge right now. Slay queens and their sponsors were so used to seeing each other, even if it was twice or thrice a week. But now everybody is locked out up with their husbands and their wives, and there's no time for that. It's getting frustrating. And these girls and boys are calling, like, where are you? I need you. And it's causing a lot of the domestic violence that you're hearing now. Who's that calling your phone? Because the phone is there and you're now home 24/7. So all the hitches and mistakes and imperfections are now being realized. So we have to do it much better if we're to survive and if our relationships are to survive at the end of this pandemic.
Yeah. I think basically everything has changed, and also it's changing how we relate to people. And I also feel, especially at this time, people need to exercise a lot of empathy. You need to empathize with your spouse or with your partner because everyone is anxious. You don't know what's going to happen. So I feel like everyone is on the edge, and something small, a small disagreement might escalate and become something big. I think a lot of empathy and communication, as you said earlier, is really necessary to ensure people live in peace, so to speak. So what are some of the let's say tips as we are finishing that you would give someone who's living alone? Because now we've talked about couples, how they can manage the situation. For someone who's living alone, long after the Zoom calls have stopped, the lights are off, you're in your room, you're all alone. I'm sure some people might be struggling with the fact that they're alone for long periods of time. How can people manage this alone time um, comfortably?
I mean, again, I've spent a lot of time with myself and
Mhm,
maybe just how did I manage? I mean, right
yeah.
now I'm not alone, but before the pandemic, I was alone most of the time.
Mhm,
And it's finding hobbies, finding things that I love to do on my own
mhm,
helped. So, like for me, and you probably know this, I watch a lot of movies. I have my Netflix. Um, I read a lot of books. I learn new skills online. I take up free online courses. Just those things that you need to do when now the depression kicks in, like Nicole Pekangu, what do I do? I'm alone.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to find that thing that keeps you busy, even if it's taking up a new skill, drawing,
Yeah.
painting. There has to be something that makes you happy. That's the only cure. So you got to think, what makes me happy, and start doing that, or learn a new skill, take up a new hobby. And with that, you find, if you're active during the day, when nighttime comes, naturally you're tired. It's time for you to get your beauty sleep. You will naturally sleep and start the next day doing something, because an idle mind makes you very depressed and anxious and fearful. But if you're active, then you give your time, the body, to rest when rest time comes. I don't know, what do you have as advice, Daniel? Or
No,
Dan? I keep
I,
calling you Daniel. Your name is Dan.
it's done. Well, for me, is having a routine. I have a routine that I stick to, and it ensures that I do not have time that I'm just seated and doing nothing. Because with time, you start thinking about, what if I get this virus? What is going to happen? So basically, I have my day planned out, and I'm also learning a lot of stuff online, which which um,
Mhm.
which I realize this is a time, because I'm free. I'm not as busy as I used to be. So now is the time. So when I wake up, basically I make breakfast, I do my workout, then I'm also learning how to do the, what do you call it, audio production. So I learned that online for about 2 hours. Then I also have a session where I'm learning how to transcribe. So basically, by noon, I can have my lunch. Then afternoon, I can watch or listen to a podcast. Then have an hour just to listen to music. I can watch something and just relax a bit. So by the time it gets to
Yeah,
evening, I can make dinner, then watch news. And I also limit the number of times I watch news, because nowadays realize it's all about
exactly.
coronavirus, and this can also be very depressing. So I choose
A
when to
trigger.
watch news. So I basically watch news in the evening. And on social media, I avoid the people who just forward messages that are alarming. These are very, sometimes these are unconfirmed reports that people are just sharing, like people are dying or this number of people are infected. So you don't need to be
Yeah.
on social media every minute of the day. You can just take time and
Mm-hmm.
log off a bit. So for me, that's how it works. I have a routine, and I ensure I stick to it.
I
Yeah,
mean, you said something very important about people who are always sending forwards that are very negative and,
yeah,
scary. I
yeah.
mean,
Random
I've
messages.
had to deal with conspiracy theorists. You get a lot of theories that are coming. My God, the world is coming to an
Yeah,
end.
yeah.
My
Those ones
God, they're creating
especially.
a vaccine to kill everybody.
Yeah,
And
it's
then you start
crazy.
thinking, sometimes you just have to switch off and just say,
Yeah, you don't have to be online
eh,
24 hours. You just need to chill. I mean, so like people are saying now, it's quarantine and chill. So you don't need to be
exactly.
online reading all posts, your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok. Yeah, so
Mm,
basically
true.
just chill. So
True.
what's
But then
your
I have to
mhm.
also tell you something just
Yes.
before the next question.
Yeah.
I was speaking to one of my senior colleagues today, and he's a very caring person. And he told me something that I think I also have to say here. He said, sometimes you have no one to talk to, and it's those people who have to live alone.
Yeah.
You gotta have someone who you can talk to. There has to be a friend that you
Hmm.
can talk to somewhere. And even if it's not a friend, there
Hmm.
has to be a family member. You have to find someone you can talk to, someone you can call when you're feeling down, depressed, alone. When you've done all those things that myself and Dan have advised, there has
Yeah,
to be someone you can call and speak to and just say, I feel
definitely.
like this.
Mhm.
I feel like I need to talk to someone. Do you have the time? That's important. And I find that in my friends, I
Yeah.
call even you, Dan. I've called you once in a while when I'm just feeling like I need someone to talk to.
Yeah,
There
it
has to be
works. It
someone.
works.
So
Yeah.
find that friend. or find that person you can talk to when you need to talk to someone. Yeah.
Actually, I was going to ask you what's your parting shot, and that what you just said sounds like it.
That is my parting shot, and spread love, spread positivity. I mean, if you
Yes.
have the energy, be the positive vibe, be the positive energy. I mean, smile, speak with enthusiasm and hope. You never know the person you're speaking to or interacting with. You might be giving them the hope that they need during these unprecedented times.
All right, Pasi, thank you so much for sharing your views and just telling us how we can be able to manage this whole situation. So I'll let you go. And once again, thank you so much for finding time to be with me and chat. I know you're a very busy lady, and I'll let you get back to business. I know you're always working. So thank you so much.
Not always. But thank you so much, Dan, for having me, and have more of these conversations. During this time, we need to speak to each other and inspire and speak to as many people as we can. So thank you for this initiative. I appreciate it. And I
Yes.
appreciate you for it too.
Thank you, and you are welcome. And for the guys who are listening in and guys who are watching, please share with us in the comments how you're managing this whole situation and what are the tips that you can share with other people who are listening and watching. So thank you so much, and we'll see you in our next Zoom chat.